What is going on, Print Fam? If you're new, my name's Cam. Welcome to the Print Life. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do a quality screen print at home with a $30 screen printing press. That's right, 30 bucks. Stay tuned to learn how. You're gonna need a homemade $30 press, a screen burnt and ready to go, a squeegee, 2 clamps. You're going to need a spatula, some ink, adhesive for the palette, some tape, a couple t-shirts, and finally some kind of a flash unit of some sorts. Before we get this started, I gotta get into Illustrator, print my film out, go make the screen, and then we'll start setting this thing up on press. I also made a video on how to make an exposure unit super cheap and how to burn screens with it. I'll link that in the description and up in the corner. Like with any screen, I'm gonna set this aside either in the sun or I'm gonna let it dry and then post-expose it with my UV light source, whatever that is. That'll harden the stencil and make it hold up a little better while you're working with it. Yeah, that's a crossbow. When we had this little virus outbreak thing, my mind started racing because I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And I had this vision of like being stuck in the woods and not being able to get ammunition. And I was like, well, then I'm gonna get a weapon that is extremely accurate, but I can also make ammunition for it, which is why I bought the crossbow. Don't worry about me. I'm a little nuts. This is true. And a little tapey, just to make sure ink doesn't spill out over the edge of the screen. Then to line this screen up, I use that vertical line in accordance with the reg marks. And you'll see here, perfectly lined up. That was super quick and easy to do. Spatula, taping reg marks, like a champ. And this is a sample from One Stroke. And as I'm stirring this thing, every other low cure ink that I've gotten has always been extremely thick. This stuff is like, it's like as creamy as yogurt. So now that I've got it stirred up well, I'm going to, well, eventually load it up in my screen. Use a lot of ink. That was something I didn't do when I first started. Load up with ink. And then I'm putting my little things on there so that the squeegee will actually stay put when I put the screen up. Now I'm going to fix my off contact just by taping a quarter to the edge so that the screen frame touches it. That'll give even off contact between the back and front. This is where we're going to load our shirt, do our print, flash in between, just like that. But what I have here is another secondary palette. Once I've done my print flash print on my white garment or my white print, I'm going to unload my shirt, sit it on this palette, and then put the flash over it while I'm loading and printing my next t-shirt. This way, I'm curing the shirt that's here while I'm printing the next one. And this is going to increase your speed substantially. We're going to be using the spray adhesive on this thing, so I'm going to do a little spray like that, and I'm actually going to hit it just with a little bit of heat just to sort of activate the adhesive. Now it's time to load our first shirt. Now this is a little awkward just because you have the flash so close. This flash is specifically made for live printing, so we have everything shortened up. And normally your flash will hang a little bit further away, which means you can keep the stand further away from the loading palette. And I think most screen printers, the biggest issue you're gonna have when you're starting is getting the load down. And I'm gonna index my screen just like that. You'll see I have a lot of ink in here, and I just do a nice flood stroke. And what I'm doing is just sort of loading the image up with ink. Just decent pull, and I'm gonna do my first pass, decent pressure, and then I'm gonna do a second pass just to clear the ink. Nice and slow. One of the things I see a lot of new printers do is they pull way too fast. When you pull too fast, it doesn't give the ink time to adhere to the substrate below it. So a little bit slower pull is the first trick. Not a lot of pressure, nice slow pull. I'm doing a third pass just to make sure I've cleared the mesh completely. If the mesh has been properly cleared, you will not see any plastisol dots in the openings of the mesh. A little flood by pushing the ink back over it. All right, flash is up to temp, sort of. So let's give it a 15-second flash. That's about 16 seconds. Let's see where we're at. Still not great. I don't think the flash is fully up to temp yet. Let's try this one more time. Another 15. And just be very, very aware, especially with low cure inks, your flash times are gonna be 1 to maybe 5 or 6 seconds once everything's up to temp. So I ended up doing it at about 30 seconds and it flashed this first layer. Now, let's index our screen again. And remember always, as you're bringing it down, grab your squeegee. Don't lay it all the way down before you grab your squeegee, because then you risk dropping it in the ink and ruining your whole day. If you do your flash and this image is still hot as shit, and then you reprint it, what you're gonna find is the plastisol seizes into the openings of the mesh. So you need to make sure that this thing is cool before you do your second print. And we're doing a nice slow pull, low pressure. I'm not really applying a lot of pressure. And I don't need to do a second pass, but I'm gonna just for, and we're doing a nice little pull, slow, medium pressure. My dogs are tripping. So let's take a look at this one. I think I maybe over flashed it, and also there was a little bit of movement on the screen itself. I don't think that this is tight enough. No problems. All right, that was a decent first shot at this. I wanted to do some testing just to see if it would work. Now what I'm gonna do is yank this off the palette, throw it under the flash so that the flash can be curing this print while I load up and do my first pass on my second print. I do want to make note too, if you're making one of these presses, round this corner off here as much as possible, round this corner, and this corner. Get a good arc to it so that way the shirts aren't as likely to catch, because right now I'm having a bit of an issue loading these. And another thing is if you feel the shirt catching on the sides, you need to do a better job of sanding the edges of the palette. And this adhesive will usually last maybe 3 to 5 shirts, and you need to reapply it. Let's do an index. I'm going to do a flood, just a decent pull. So that was my first pull, and you can see how all the little dots held in the mesh. We're trying to get rid of that, and you do that by a second pass. And a nice, slow, even pull. I'm trying to follow the same path that I did the first time. And now on that second pass, see how all the plastisol has cleared out of the mesh? That means we've cleared it. That is a good first hit. All right, let's do us a little quick flash. Ooh, this is hot now. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Nice. I gotta say, man, this ink is nice. Okay, nice pull, even. And light. I'm gonna do one more just for good measure. See, I went too quick. I think I just seized the ink in the mesh. I know, that's good. That one's much better. I'm gonna move this away. Sit this on here like this. I'm gonna cure that while I'm loading my next shirt. 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. The other thing is this flash is not working well because I have to keep moving it, but it's fine. 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Remember to let that flash cool down a little bit. Another thing, man, I want to make sure you guys understand, load that screen with ink. The more ink you have in there, the better. And this, I should have fucking, you want your table to be stable too. This table's moving all over the place. And if you're lifting and you find that the garment is lifting with the screen, then it's time to apply more palette adhesive. But that's how you can produce shirts quickly with a single color press and a flash unit. Another thing you can do, like with your flash unit, is if it's curing way too fast or it's getting too hot, you can just lower your curing palette down a little bit. Drop the temp, you know what I mean? And let's take a look at this beauty. Now, I ended up doing 2 different strokes on this. One was the pull, one was the push, and I do have some opinions on that. So if you tune into the next video, which will be uploaded shortly, you're going to see my comparison between the push and the pull stroke. But that's a killer print, and you could do this from home with barely any equipment.